Are you ready to learn the basic techniques to trail riding without riding more so that you don't crash and get hurt? It's time to form some positive riding habits. Now, what is a positive riding habit? Well, it's practicing something intentionally, repeatedly, so that when you go and use it on the trail, it's going to feel natural to you. So what happens when you learn the basic techniques but you don't form a positive riding habit? Well, let's say you come up to a new trail to you and there's a corner coming up, and once you come up to this corner you find out that you have too much speed. You're carrying too much speed into the corner, and if you don't slow down enough, you're either going to hit a tree or you're going to fly off the trail, which there's a cliff on the other side of the tree. So what are you going to do? Well, probably one of two things. And the first one is you're just going to revert back to what you're normally used to doing, and that is stabbing at the brake. You're trying to slow down quickly, so you squeeze the brake really hard, and while this might slow you down quickly, chances are you're going to lock up the front wheel and you're going to slide out and crash, because when you stab at the brake, you squeeze the brake or press the brake too quickly, this shocks the tires and will lock them up, because if you don't efficiently apply the brake, there's not enough weight that can transfer onto the tires, onto the rubber, and when not enough weight is on the rubber, it's not going to have as much traction, meaning you can't apply as much brake and slow down as fast. And even if you remember not to stab at the brakes, you remember, oh yeah, I got to use the proper technique to slow down. But in an emergency, if you have to think about it, it's already too late and you're going to crash or fly off the trail. So that's why I want to share with you a super helpful technique and how to form a positive riding habit. And this has to do with how to prevent whiskey throttle crashes, because the more beginners and trail riders that I talk to, the more I hear that they're intimidated to ride because of having poor throttle control, whiskey throttling, crashing. It makes it very intimidating to ride. So first, if you don't know what a whiskey throttle is, it's when you start to accelerate and you accidentally give it too much gas and you start to slide back on the seat of your bike, and what this does, it rolls your wrists and you continue giving it gas, which you don't want to do. You're trying to slow down, but your wrist twists the throttle even more, and if you hang on, you're going to fly right into a tree, or you're going to fly off the course, you're going to crash, or if you don't hang on, the bike is just going to fly out from underneath you, and hopefully it doesn't break and leave you stranded 20 miles from your truck. So this is intimidating, not only because it could leave you stranded, but because of the potential risk for getting hurt or seriously injured. Because if you've had a whiskey throttle crash, then you know how scary it can be, because the bike wants to jump out from underneath you at the most random times. But I want to show you how to prevent that, even if you're riding a bike that's too powerful for you. And that is one of the mistakes, is starting out on a powerful enduro or motocross bike. But I want to show you how to prevent that, even if that's the case. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that causes whiskey throttle crash is just reacting to what the bike does. And what do I mean by that? Well, you're reacting to the bike if you give it gas and you get pushed back on the bike. So you give it gas, bam, and then you have to pull yourself forward on the seat. If you're doing that, you're reacting to the bike, and this is not good technique. You haven't formed a positive riding habit using the proper technique. Another bad habit is sitting towards the rear of the bike when you're accelerating, especially if you're just going down a straight road, or if you're going uphill, maybe you're trying to get traction on the rear and you're sitting too far back and you give it a little bit too much throttle and your arms are already extended. Well, what's going to happen? Well, you're just going to keep twisting the throttle, or you're going to let go of the bike. Maybe you've already had this happen to you and you've tried some things to help prevent it, such as practicing throttle control, which throttle control is important, but if you're focused on that more than half of the time, this is a really good sign that you haven't learned the basic technique to trail riding. Or maybe you've tried using a throttle tamer, and what this does, it smooths out the first quarter turn of the throttle, and it can help make it smoother, but this is really just a band-aid to fix the problem when the real issue is much deeper and more important than that. It's like getting shot in the shoulder with a bullet still in there, but you're just putting a bandage over it to cover it up, and it's going to help losing blood, but you're really not getting to the root cause of the pain. Or maybe you just tried slowing down, or maybe even sitting down because you're getting exhausted, because you know that when you stand up, especially around like a tight turn, you're a lot more likely to whiskey throttle or just lose control of the throttle. So instead of trying all those band-aid fixes, what you need to do is you need to learn how to anticipate what the bike is gonna do. And how do you do that? Well, when you accelerate, you need to scoot forward on the seat. And what this does is it allows you to relax your arms and your hands when you give it gas and the bike pushes you back. So before, you were sitting in the middle or towards the rear of the seat, and you were getting thrown back, and you were using your arms and hands to pull you back up on the seat. Well, that was really exhausting. But when you form a positive riding habit by scooting forward on the seat when you're accelerating, and especially when you're accelerating hard, when the bike pushes you back, it's going to push you back into a more neutral position, but you won't feel the need to use your arms and hands to pull yourself back up. You'll be able to relax and stay in control of the bike. And having your weight forward also helps reduce wheeling, because you have more weight forward on the front wheel of the bike, so it's not likely to pop up, which can increase the risk of whiskey throttling even more. Now remember, this is just one way to prevent crashing into a tree or flying off the trail and getting hurt. And if you want to learn step by step how to prevent crashes on the trails, then I encourage you to sign up for my free workshop. You can sign up right here or click the link in the description below. I'm Kelly Fager from Motocross Hideout. Learn more, ride more.